And we're back. Dynamic effort lower again. And we are back to running the straight bar. Darrell got his shoulders and elbows feeling good enough that we don't need to run the buffalo bar. And like walking in the gym, seeing he got the straight bar on the mono, I'm almost like, shit, I was kind of looking forward to running the buffalo just because last week it made everything feel so good squat-wise. But the fact that it made everything feel good, or like everything that I've been struggling with feel better, is probably a sign that I should be running the straight bar. So goal for this week is just to make it feel good with the straight bar. And like, I accomplished it pretty well on the weekend. I still could get a little bit more dialed in, so gonna do my damnedest to get it dialed in. And now that we are 12 weeks out from the meet, officially in what I would call meet prep territory, so gonna be making some changes to the tail end of the session, or the second half of the session. I don't know what to call it. I'm gonna be making some changes to the weekly layout, specifically concerning what's going on today. So I'll get there when I get there, but time to squat. Set. Pardon?
Line him up.
It's your right, it's right there. There. Good. Walk that in.
Alright, abs are on. Set the head. Nice and patient. Okay, keep the head.
What? Good. Tighter. Yeah. In the quads. Yeah. Woo.
Pull. Pull.
Woo. Pull. Good.
Lick.
There you go, dude.
Pull.
Good.
Get capped right away. Good. Good. One more, let's go.
Woo. What? There you go.
We're back. There we go. That's into the quads.
Good. Big hit. Yes. Hit it. Fuck yeah, dude.
Let's go. Nice and deep. Yeah. Good. One more. There we go. Yeah.
Woo. So I always like act a little bit nervous going into sessions, and I'm always a little bit surprised when it does go well. And like, that's real. And part of it is actual nerves, and part of it is almost intentional, because if I go into a session too cocky and too like, I'm gonna smash this, it's gonna be so fucking easy, it often catches me by surprise. And if I can like go in a little bit worried about it, a little bit nervous, and a little bit unsure of whether or not I can do it, that's almost like internal motivation for me to go out and make sure that I do my job rather than just assuming that my job is going to be done just because I showed up. And like days like yesterday, like that was legit like, fuck, I don't know if I can do this. Days like today, it was more just like, I don't know if I can execute well. And either way, that like not knowing that uncertainty, again, it's part of what makes it fun. And like someone might argue that maybe I could find a way to believe in myself better and do better, but this keeps me humble. It keeps me from taking things for granted, and it in a way makes me more appreciative of it when it goes well. And like that is the heaviest I've ever gone ever on raw speed work, which I am freaking stoked with that it moved that well and it felt that good. I struggled a little bit with the straight bar compared to last week with the buffalo bar because there were some reps where I was popping too hard and like getting too upright on the top, and the bar would kind of get a little bit loose and want to slide down. But once I got that sorted, they felt rock freaking solid. And I think that's probably one of the heavier sessions I will go this training cycle on speed work, because now that we're into the meat of the meat prep, it becomes a little bit less about just like blasting the shit out of myself on speed work and more about doing enough and managing fatigue with it, like doing enough to get stimulus, not doing so much that it's taking away from the heavy stuff. And speaking of the changes I'm going to be making into the rest of this prep, I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but I've been alternating max effort between squats and deadlifts through kind of the pre-prep phase. Now that I'm into prep, I'm going to start running heavy squats, heavy deadlifts every single week. And like on the surface, it looks like that might be like way too gnarly, way too crazy, but I'm going to be making sure that I'm not going to go full crazy mode on the max effort. I'm going to make sure that I'm keeping it in the pocket with it. And if we think about it, if I'm running every other week into the meet, like say I got 10 real training weeks left, if I run every other week, that means I would have 5 squats, 5 deadlifts until meet day. If I go in and I go every week, that gives me 10 squats, 10 deadlifts. And the cool thing about that is that if I only have 5 squats, 5 deadlifts, and I need to take a deload somewhere in there, that knocks it down to 4, and that really isn't a lot of exposures into the meet prep. But say I'm doing it every week, that gives me an opportunity to have 2 complete deload weeks. I still have 8 exposures, still 8 opportunities to get dialed. So having higher frequency at the beginning of meet prep for me gives me more flexibility towards the end. And if I need to drop frequency down again, I can always pull it out. But right now, when I'm trying to make sure that I'm dialed, higher frequency is going to move. So let's get to some heavy pulling. And we are pulling against oranges. This is a real ass kicker of a deadlift variation for me, because where the bands ramp up punishes the shit out of my sticking point. And if I'm not in position there, there is no freaking way I will ever be able to lock it out, which is kind of a good thing because it forces me to hold position, or else I'm not going to be able to lock it out. Anyways, last time I ran this, ended up with 4 reds and a blue on the bar for the top set, so let's send it, see what we get. And like pulling heavy after speed squats kind of sucks because you're going to be a little bit gassed in the speed squats, but like what are you going to be at the end of the meet after you've done 3 heavy squats, 3 heavy benches, then half the deadlift? So in a way, like this is one of the most meet specific ways to train deadlifts, because you're getting used to pulling well in a fatigue state. And then on meet day, when you're in a fatigue state, you're going to be able to know that you still can pull well. You're going to have that confidence to still go for it on your third. $260 keys on. How would I say that better? That is 260 kilos, right? I think. 260 kilos on the bar. Same as the top set last time that I ran this. So let's make her move like it got more.
Big wedge. Pull it.
What? Yeah.
Good off the floor. Jesus.
Yeah. All right. 275, 606 on the bar. Can afford a little bit more assertiveness with the toe pressure, a little bit more assertiveness with the leg drive. Got the lubricant out to make things nice and slippery, so let's make her move. Pop!
Checklist, get it right.
Work.
Yeah,
Get this
big
shit
legs,
done.
big legs. Assertive. Fuck yeah.
Yes! Good!
Woo! So I took that last one pretty calm, pretty low hype because I had something in mind. Like, best ever on this setup with the orange band, 635 on pound plate. So we got 290 kilo, 639 on the bar. Nervous, but let's use it. Get to pull a PR. Yep.
Big legs.
Good wedge, let's go!
Assertive, wake up. Let's go. Finish.
Fuck yeah!
Whoa! And that was fucking sick. And like, yeah, the pull itself, that shit's fun, but what makes it cool is looking back and knowing how bad my deadlift was not that many weeks ago and knowing how much effort I've put in to get it back to this point. And that just fires me up and makes me excited to keep putting effort in and keep getting to watch the thing climb. And it's like being this far out of the meet and like being in this good of shape already is kind of a double-edged sword because I want to make sure that I don't get too excited and peak too early. But at the same time, I know that if I keep the ball rolling, keep managing fatigue well, keep picking good exercise selection on max effort work, shit's gonna work and it's gonna be a fun day, meet day. So let's run some accessories. And I figure since we drive up the speed pulls, I'm gonna run the kettlebell snatches again to get that old hip snapping through. Oh, fuck. Touched my legs and got some of the deodorant on my hands. Like, that shit is so slippery, which if I didn't clean them off, that wouldn't have been fun on a snatch. This hat is way too big too. What you saying something? Because my head is ginormous. Big glute squeeze. And I know last week I said I was going to load the Bulgarians with the SSB. I'm sorry, I lied. Not feeling that adventurous quite yet. Trying to drive the hips as forward as I can manage. Get that good old extension on the backside. Oh. That was probably 5 or 6 years ago when I was still multiply Seth that Stu Locke told me Bulgarians will solve all problems. And back then, being multiply stat, I was like, screw that. Anything unilateral is lame. And I hate to admit it, but the more I do these, the more I tend to agree with him. Woo! And people in the comments seem to think that because I crank the partial range Nordics, I can't do a GHR. And no, the reason I do the partial range Nordics is because they are hard, and GHRs are in fact very easy. So I guess I'm gonna have to do 10 million reps to get an equivalent hamstring stimulus here, so I don't know. Enjoy some reps. Still going. Man, oh man. Are you bored yet? I'm getting bored. Finally got kind of hard. And I grabbed the kettlebell this time to at least make it productive before I get to like 10 reps. And like, even adding weight to these, the feeling you get from a Nordic is so much freaking gnarlier. And like, if this wasn't a Rogue GHR, like if this was the Elite FTS GHR, I would probably use it more often because the pad angle on the Elite makes it a lot closer to the Nordic where it's at least productive for me to use regularly in training. But since we don't got an Elite GHR here, just gonna stick with the Nordics on this day from here on out. Once again, would not have run this handle if it were up to me, but sticking to the program and just running whatever someone left on the machine. And pleasantly surprised with how okay it feels. Whoops. Still going for that T-spine flexion, T-spine extension as I'm pulling. Yesterday's bench was talking about how felt like I needed more rear delt into her, so we're running some rear delts. Probably pivot the vertical pull to my bench days just so I can run this machine on my lower body days when I'm in here and get the rear delts all nice and ready to go so I can spread in that bar hard when it's time to press. That is juicy. We'll go up a bit. And you'll notice when I'm running these single arm, I'm like holding on to the center of the tower and almost rotating my torso, and that way I can get a little bit further out in front of me and still pull far behind, keeping her in the rear delt. And it's nasty. Oh. Woo. and more not being a pansy on ab work, because strong torso ain't gonna grow itself. Another really freaking productive training day in the books. Stoke level is insanely high with both the squats and the pulls and accessories all around too. And like when you have days like this when things are just like clicking, 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 what you got to remember is that it's not this day that did it. It's all of the days and all of the work that led up to this point that allowed it to happen. And kind of on topic, yeah, definitely on topic with that. Like one of the things that I'm so grateful for that really makes all of this happen is Miana. And we're training on Valentine's Day, and I think that if I were to give one piece of advice to any young lifter, any young coach, really anyone in general, is that if you have aspirations, if you want to pursue something and be really, really good at something, find someone that is, first, find someone that you are excited to do it for. Because a lot of me trying to do good at things is me trying to do good because I know that it can make things better for her the more better that I do at stuff. And secondly, find someone that understands that you working hard is you working hard for them. Because if I didn't have someone that let me do all this stuff and was excited about me doing all this stuff, my life would freaking suck. And my life does not suck at all, mostly because of her. So that's what I got for today. Happy Valentine's Day, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your night.